You might have heard that prices for vintage fashion are increasing year upon year, and maybe you want to get yourself a nice little investment piece. But how can you be sure that you won't lose money on that purchase in the future? In this video, we will not only discuss how purchasing a piece of vintage fashion can be a great investment for you, but I'll also give you some tips of things to avoid so that you don't end up losing money. I'm Andrew. I'm a full-time vintage reseller. My main business, Gucciano Vintage, has over 1,000 sales of Gucci handbags on Vestiaire Collective, and I also sell other brands on eBay and Vinted. Now, a question I'm often asked by my clients is, which bag should I get? When I first got that question, I was rather confused because obviously just buy the bag that you like, right? So when a client asks me which bag should I get, I figure they mean what bag's a good investment. And this video is for those guys. In my opinion, having a few designer items in your collection can be a really nice way to diverse your investment portfolio. And let's face it, having a few nice designer bags in your collection is a lot more fun than investing in stocks and shares, right? But can vintage fashion really be considered an investment? From my position as a seller of luxury vintage, I can see that year upon year prices are seeming to be increasing. That means if you buy a nice item now, if you keep it in good condition, then in a few years, when it's time to part ways, you'll either get your money back or hopefully make a small profit on that. But don't just listen to me. I found some research online that I'm going to share with you now. This data comes from a company called marketinsights.com, okay? And I'm going to paraphrase the main headlines. So, second-hand fashion market value for the year 2025 was 210.3 billion US dollars, okay? That's a lot. Now, the second-hand fashion market value forecast for the year 2035, that is estimated to be 581.3 billion US dollars. Now, that seems to be increasing, according to this report, at a compound annual growth rate of 10.7. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that gorgeous Lady Dior bag you bought last year is going to increase by 10.7% every year. What it does mean, there's more and more people coming into the market spending more and more money. Now, I'm not an economist, but even I know that when there's more people spending more money, prices go up. And this works especially well with vintage items because they're in limited supply. There are no more Dior bags being made from the Galliano era. They're a limited supply. Now, with the market increasing so positively, you might be tempted to jump in and start acquiring yourself a nice piece of vintage fashion. But hold your horses first. Now, it's always best to approach investing with a little bit of caution. After all, some prices may increase, some may stay the same, but other times the price might fall. How can you be sure that that beautiful bag you've been eyeing up for weeks is a really good investment? I'll give you some of my thoughts on this matter. Point 1. Research. Now, whatever you're investing in, whether that's stocks, shares, gold, cryptocurrency, or even collectibles such as Pokemon cards, the best place to start is with knowledge. I mean, even before they've spent a penny of their own money, the best investors in the stock market do their research. They spend their time looking at the company's fundamentals, they know the company's market cap, they know whether there's a dividend, and they even know what the company actually does day to day. And the very best investors, they don't buy on hype, they buy based on their knowledge. And having knowledge is the best way to avoid a bad investment. And it's no different in the realm of vintage fashion. The more time you spend leveling up your knowledge, the better your investments are going to be. And there's so much you need to learn. Do you know the difference between genuine leather and full grain leather? Do you know how to authenticate a bag on site? Are you aware of the item's average sold for price? What people are asking for it? Do you even know about the brand's historical eras, their designers, and the designer's unique style? There's so much to learn. Fortunately, we live at a time where such information is easily available with anyone with a phone and an internet connection. And my advice is to use it. You'll find plenty of information on websites, blogs, social media posts, etc. There's plenty of books been written about all the various design houses, and they're usually pretty good. A good book will give you insight into the brand's most important pieces. For example, any bag written about Gucci will talk about the flora print and the Jackie handbag. And this information can be helpful because it can suggest items for you to put in your collection. Number 2, buy only pre-loved items. Now, I've seen some talk online recently about how buying brand new designer items is a terrible investment. And well, I have to agree with that. Now, as someone who makes a living from browsing thousands and thousands of listings online, I see the same scenario happening all of the time. Obviously, someone's gone into their favorite boutique, bought a bag brand new for full price. They've had it for a few weeks, a few months. They don't really use it. And so what they do, they decide to try and get their money back. And because it's too late to return it, they list it online. They take some photos, they write a description, host it online, and what happens? Nothing. It sits there for weeks, months, years. The thing is unsold. And then the seller realizes their money is gone and that bag was a horrible investment. Now, many items, including designer items, will depreciate dramatically by the time you get them home. Now, when you buy an item from a boutique, you're paying a premium. That's because you're paying for the overhead costs, the workers' costs, and even the advertising costs. And that beautiful bag you just bought, it can lose 20, 40, even up to 50% of its value as soon as you get it home. I mean, there are exceptions. If you have a very rare bag, an Hermes Birkin, for example, the price can actually increase. But that's a very rare instance. Now, I'm not in the business of losing money. That's why my collection are all pre-loved items. When you buy second-hand items, you don't pay for all those extra costs. You won't suffer that huge depreciation when you buy second-hand. Because you've acquired a piece at the current market rate, in theory, all you need to do is look after it, and as the market continues to grow, your asset will continue to appreciate. Of course, the market can go up, but it can also go down. That's just an inherent risk with any type of investing, fashion included. But the data does suggest that the market will continue to increase over the next 5 years. And talking from experience, I can tell you that if you keep a bag in very good condition, there'll always be someone out there willing to offer you money for it. It will never be completely worthless. The next point I want to make is to get something from the year 2000 or before. When customers approach me and ask my advice, I do suggest that they buy something from before the year 2000. But why? There's a great book that I really recommend you read. It's by Dana Thomas and it's called Deluxe: How Luxury Lost Its Luster. Now, it's a little bit old, but the points are very interesting and still relevant today, so it's definitely worth a read. But if you don't have time, I'll summarize the main points right now for you. Now, in the 2000s, many fashion houses were still owned by descendants of the original founders, but these were bought up by outside investors. Now, this was a huge structural shift in the fashion industry, and the repercussions are still going on today. Now, in the 2000s, Bernard Arnault bought up Louis Vuitton, Givenchy, Fendi, Dior, Cellini, and he put them all under one umbrella called LVMH, which you can buy shares in today. It's a public company. And in this era, the Kering Group came along. They purchased the Gucci Group, and later other brands such as Alexander McQueen, Bottega Veneta, and Balenciaga. According to the book by Dana Thomas, these brands became owned by shareholders, and the shareholders wanted to see a profit. Now, I'm not an economist, but even I know that there's two ways to increase profits. You either increase your sales or you reduce your costs. Now, unfortunately, according to the book, many of these brands chose the latter. They slashed their prices. They used cheaper quality materials and they outsourced manufacturing to the Far East, to places like China. Brands were no longer considered ateliers, but merely intellectual property. So when I advise my clients to buy from before the year 2000, that's because I want them to have a higher quality item made to a higher standard from high quality materials and made in Europe. And there's an old adage which is very important here: quality always sells itself. And as investors in luxury vintage, that's something we need to pay attention to. I'm not saying that modern pieces aren't worth investing in. I have a few pieces from Alessandro Michele, who was creative director at Gucci until 2015. In general, if you're just starting out investing in luxury vintage, I would suggest the earlier pieces are the safer bet. 4. Look for timeless classics. Now, every designer brand has a product they're famous for. We're talking about Louis Vuitton's Neverfull, Gucci's Jackie bag, the Fendi Baguette, Prada Galleria, and of course Chanel's classic flap. I'm sure I'm missing a few other iconic products, so please let me know in the comments, but you get the idea. And because these items are so iconic, guess what? People want them. And when enough people want them, the price goes up. And a good place to start if you're interested in investing in vintage fashion is to acquire yourself one of these timeless, iconic pieces. Now I'm a fan of Gucci, so let's talk about the Jackie bag. Gucci's Jackie bag has been a bestseller for almost 70 years now. And the Jackie is not exactly rare, there's many out there in the wild. And you might think that this abundant supply will decrease the price, right? But actually, because the product's so well known and has such a brand recognition, people want to acquire one. Now with fashion, rarity does not necessarily translate into a higher price. The Jackie is such an iconic bag that anyone with a passing interest in fashion history will love to acquire one for their collection. And because the item's so desirable, it's easy to sell. In other words, the investment is easy to liquidate. In fact, the Gucci Jackie bag is my #1 bestseller in my store. And it's the vintage Tom Ford pieces, which date from the late 90s to early 2000s, which sell the best. So when a client contacts me and asks my suggestion, I recommend a vintage Tom Ford era Jackie. If you're looking for a long-term investment, you can't really go wrong by getting yourself a timeless, iconic classic, such as the Gucci Jackie. You need to be aware that there is a premium attached to these classic bags. Since everyone knows about them, everyone wants one. And the more desirable the item is, the more expensive it is. So yes, a timeless classic is a great investment, but you have to be prepared to pay for the price of it. Which brings me to my next point. Look for lesser known models. Okay, I appreciate this is the exact opposite of what I've just told you, but hear me out, okay? Now, brands are constantly looking for their next bestseller. That's why these brands continue to put new products on the market. Unfortunately, even the most talented designers that money can buy cannot predict the next big hit. Some bags might sell well, some bags not so. You just can't tell what's going to be a hit and what's going to be a miss. But this can be an opportunity for the shrewd fashion investor. I mean, you've got a product made from the same high quality materials, by the same designers, made in the same factories. I mean, sure, maybe you're not getting that Chanel classic flap that you've always wanted, but you're still getting a Chanel bag, right? The same buttery soft leather, the same exquisite stitching, the same logo, and since you're acquiring it at a lesser price point, there's also less risk too. And talking from experience, I can tell you that there's thousands of these lesser known products out there on the market just waiting for their forever home. And because they're not as well known, you could actually acquire them for a reasonable price. And since the data suggests that the market's going to grow over the next few years, it could be a good opportunity to get one of these bags. So if you're a fashion investor who's also budget conscious, I recommend you look for one of those lesser known bags. My next point, materials do matter. If you want a piece that's going to survive in the long term, you really want a piece that's made from high quality materials. For example, if you have a choice between a bag made from full grain leather and a canvas bag, I usually advise my clients to go for the leather bag. That's because canvas over time merely survives, but leather is different. Leather gains a patina over time. And many collectors actually cherish having a bag with a patina on it. Many collectors appreciate a good patina on their leather, but I don't know any collectors who like a big hole in their canvas. Leather is also much more forgiving than canvas when it comes to cleaning and repairs. It's even possible to buff out minor scratches on leather, but with a canvas bag with a big hole, good luck. Now, I'm not telling you to avoid canvas altogether, no. There are some really beautiful canvas bags with prints out there on the market. The Gucci Blooms, for example, is one of my favorites. And over time, I think that they will also increase in value. But if we're investing in fashion pieces, I think it's a good thing that you know about the pros and cons. Now, exotic leathers, such as python skin, are a different category altogether. And you really need to be careful here because you can potentially lose a lot of money on them. I mean, a python skin bag or even a crocodile bag, absolutely beautiful materials. So what's the problem? Well, you know that it's actually illegal for you to take your python skin bag across an international border unless you have the requisite paperwork. That's because there's an international agreement called CITES, which means the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Now, there are over 184 countries who have signed on to this treaty. The treaty regulates trade in over 40,000 species of various flora and fauna. Now, while it's very possible that you can acquire the certificate to send your item across a border, in reality it's a lot of work. You'll need a whole ton of paperwork, you'll need authentication documents, you'll need receipts, and then you also have to pay for that, and you have to wait for weeks and weeks. And once you've done all that, the country that you're sending the item to may have a completely different set of rules, so you'll have to start the process all over again. On the Vestiaire Collective, which I use to sell my Gucci bags, for example, I'm allowed to list a python skin Jackie bag, for example, without any problem, but they do prohibit international travel. So what this means for the investor is you can only really sell that bag in your own country. Now, many savvy collectors are well aware of this CITES convention and therefore aren't willing to pay. By all means, acquire yourself a piece if that's what you like. Just be aware that there are limitations. Now, the next point, colors matter. You can buy a leather bag in a range of colors. You can get the simple black, you can get white, all the way up to gold and silver colors, and a whole rainbow in between. But in my experience, some colors sell better than others, and I think you should be aware of that too. Now, you can buy a bag in whatever color you choose. That's entirely up to you and your tastes. In one season, burgundy may be trending, the next season, not. Now, talking from experience, I can tell you that my black jackies are very easy to sell. I guess black is a great option because it's so easy to match with various outfits. A black jackie will outsell a pink jackie most of the time. Other colors that sell well include beige, brown, or even white. Of course, this is just my opinion, but I think it's useful to know that some colors sell better than others. The next point I'm going to talk about is perfection. Generally speaking, in the collectible market, whatever that is, whether that's retro video games, Pokemon cards, or yes, even designer handbags, collectors pay a premium for perfection. What this means is if your item is in fabulous condition, brand new, without any stains or tears or other damage, you're going to get a good price for it. Many toy collectors, for example, strive to keep their items in absolutely perfect condition. They refuse to even open them out of the box, which, let's face it, when it comes to fashion is kind of boring. You've just bought this beautiful bag, you want to take it out on a date and show it off, right? Well, my advice, go for it. These items are made to be used and worn and adored. Personally speaking, I love to see vintage bags out and about. That being said, you need to be very careful to avoid damage. If it's raining heavily, for example, please don't take your suede bag out. And when storing your item at home, please be very careful to store it correctly. I've seen many bags with creases that suggest that they've just been tossed in the back of the wardrobe. Now, they do sell, but not for a good price because of the creasing. In fact, I'll probably do a video about how to look after your vintage bags, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to watch a video like that. Anyway, go ahead, buy yourself that perfect bag, use it occasionally, but please look after it because the more perfect it is, the higher the price you will get for it later. That being said, slightly shabby can be a good thing too. In fact, buying yourself a slightly shabby bag can actually be quite a good investment. When I'm hunting stock for my business Gucciano Vintage, I'm always looking for items that have slight wear and tear. A little bit shabby is okay for me. Why? That's because I've accumulated enough experience to know whether I can rescue that bag. I can tell, for example, that a scratch is just superficial and can easily be buffed out. Or I can look at the corner wear and decide whether the damage is so extreme that it cannot be fixed, or whether a slight bit of filler and maybe a lick of leather paint can make it look new again. Now, of course, a bag that's been restored will never reach the same price as a perfect bag. And as a good seller, I always point out any repairs done on my bags, but it is possible to put some value on your investment by doing a couple of hours work of repair on your bags. And giving new life to an old bag is a really nice thing. It gives me a nice warm fuzzy feeling. My favourite thing is to rescue old bags from the 1980s, like a 40-year-old bag, and taking her out for a day at the spa. Let her soak in some high quality leather conditioner, maybe a gentle clean with saddle soap, stuff her up with acid-free newspaper, let her hang for a while, let her breathe. Suddenly that old tatty bag looks brand new and gorgeous, and people love it. Of course, giving your bag a day at the spa does have a cost in terms of time and money, but it can be well worth it as an investment. If you can turn a fair condition bag into a very good condition bag, for example, you're going to get paid for that. So with a couple of hours of elbow grease and a small modest cost in cleaning supplies, you can really add good value onto your item. And that's basically how I grew my business. So look after your investments and they will look after you. So those are my tips for you for investing in vintage fashion. I hope you like that. That's it for today. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. If you found anything useful in this video, please hit that like button. And if you would like to see more videos like this in the future, please hit subscribe.